Plugins, plugins, plugins. Plugins are an increasingly important part of RuneScape, especially as Runelite is settling in as a primary client. In this video, I want to take a look at the current limits on the capabilities of plugins, as over time their complexity has increased and they are now reaching what I would consider borderline cheating. I believe I'm not alone, as some of the plugins currently in use and widely accepted falls under the unauthorized category according to the 2022 plugin guidelines. We are starting to see more and more things like automatic prayer indicator. The most known one is probably the corrupted gauntlet one, where you can change the color of unleft through tile depending on what is praying. But we've also seen that on Aka inside of Tombs of Famascut. I got inspired to do this video from a video by Neng on different plugins from cheat clients that was made a few years ago. And watching it recently, I noticed that all of the plugins he was talking about are now present in the plugin hub, and some of them are widely in use, like the better NPC highlight. While his whole argument in this video is how we need those plugins for high-end PVM and that they are not too strong, I believe that the usage we are making of these plugins is too far into automating reflection out of the player and onto his screen. Some of these plugins give us tools to abuse the way the game is programmed, like for example different NPC IDs for different protection prayer on the same NPC. And this in turn allows us to highlight the NPC with different colors based on what he's praying. An argument could be made about accessibility, but how far are we really from having just the game being a black screen with different color flashing to be clicked on? As the 2022 plugin guidelines express, I believe nothing in the game should be allowed to be automated by plugins that are showing new information as the game plays. This means static information like tile markers are perfectly fine, but any kind of marker that will change during the course of an activity, if not completely disallowed, should be considered with a lot more caution than what is currently the case. Note that I am talking about any kind of activity, including skilling, as it's often forgotten, especially in that 2022 guideline where mostly PVM is mentioned. This is important as some of the skilling games are completely automated thanks to plugins. If an activity is too unbearable to do without a plugin, I think it should be reconsidered and fixed rather than having a plugin that basically automates and negates the gameplay. The plugin that abuses the most the guidelines is probably the Quest Helper plugin, which I know is a very controversial opinion, but is doing way more damage to the game than it is helping. It's not only damaging the way people are interacting with the game, as Gmods are now making quests much more streamlined in the chance that people will not use Quest Helper, but to no avail, as Quest Helper is still the most used plugin, and it's really the most outrageous when it comes to automating gameplay. The kind of dynamic marker I was talking about earlier are really used all over the place with Quest Helper, and I think it definitely opens the door for more plugins to use this in more situations. Another plugin exemplifying what's definitely over the line when it comes to automated information is the Fight Cave Spawn plugin. While in itself, Fight Cave is not much of a challenge for most of the player base, the fact that it allows information to be automatically updated live on your screen depending on your action is really slamming the door open for a lot more of gameplay automation. The last one of my example, as I hinted before, is Better NPC Highlight, because it abuses the way the game is programmed to allow player to highlight information in a way that would be banned as a standalone plugin. As much as we love to embrace emergent player behavior, I think we should be really careful when it comes to plugins, as players are naturally trying to automate gameplay out of the game. Because it's been nearly 3 years since the official plugin guidelines, I think it's time for Gmods and the community to take a deep look at those and see that most of them are now outdated by exceptions that have been made since, and they should be reconsidered as well as a lot of plugins that are currently allowed on the hub. As some endgame PVMers keep pushing more and more gameplay automation, I think it's important to hear the opposite voice of where does this lead us if we keep allowing the kind of plugin that nearly automates player decision.